aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Those are the three ingredients for shooting manual photography, which gives you so much control over the look and feel of your photographs. In the last two videos, we covered aperture and shutter speed, and today we are talking about ISO. And to make things even more helpful, we have a video all about learning manual photography in under 10 minutes, which you can check out. I'll pop a link in the comments and the description so you can go see that video for yourself. But today we're going to talk about ISO, how it affects your photo, how you can use it to get the look that you want to go for. Now, ISO is probably the easiest one to understand. This is actually just going to affect how sensitive your sensor is to light. The higher the ISO value, the more sensitive the sensor is to light, and the lower the value, the less sensitive it is to light. Shutter speed and aperture were actually affecting how much light was coming into the sensor, whereas ISO is just affecting that sensor. It's measured with just a number. So usually starting at around ISO 100, it can go up to ISO 3200, 6400, and up from there, 10,000, 20,000. But generally you'll probably be mostly sticking between ISO 100 and maybe 1600, 3200, and I'll explain why. The more that you actually bump this up, the brighter your image will be. That's great if you want to use a fast shutter speed and there's not that much light, it's not a particularly bright day. Or maybe you want to use an aperture that will allow you to get more of the shot in focus. But again, maybe it's not such a bright day. So you bump up that ISO, fantastic. Now you've got a nice bright image. But the higher you bump that ISO up, the more digital noise it will add to the photo. You can think about it a little bit like a guitar amp. The more that you turn it up, the more distorted that sound will start to become. And that is essentially what is happening with ISO. You turn it up, and absolutely, it is starting to get a brighter image, but more digital noise will be added. Now, I'll be totally honest with you, this is actually less of an issue than it used to be, even just a few years ago. Any camera now is able to handle much higher ISO values than perhaps they used to. You know, even just a few years ago, shooting above about ISO 800 with certain cameras could be a little bit tricky and sometimes would result in photos that weren't as clean, weren't as nice as other photos. Whereas now, a lot of cameras are able to handle ISO 3200, 6400 without really any issues. So this is definitely less of a problem than it used to be, and it allows you a lot more flexibility when it comes to using ISO. It's good to try and keep it as low as you can, just to have the cleanest, best quality image you have, but you're not as restricted as you used to be. Let's look at a couple of images. So this one is taken at ISO 400, and then this one is taken at ISO 10,000. Now you can see in the higher ISO image, there is more digital noise there, which doesn't look so great. This isn't the same as film grain, it just doesn't look so nice. It's not such a nice, pleasing, finished image. And for the most part, if you're having to shoot that high, there's probably a different issue. Either your shutter speed is too high, your aperture is set incorrectly, or there is just not very much light at all. And that effectively is it for ISO. It's going to affect how bright your image is, so the exposure, and it's going to affect how much digital noise is on the image, something that you probably want to avoid as much as possible. And that's pretty much it. We've now covered aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. And with all three of those combined, you can actually expose your image correctly and try and get the best possible end result while also affecting those different creative looks. If you have any questions, of course, pop them down in the comments. We've got a full list of all the kit used for this video and all of the photos throughout these videos down in the description as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the videos. We've got new videos every day through to Christmas Eve. I will see you in the next video, but until then, as always, thanks for watching.